The galaxy was stunned. Humans think deadly razor-clawed creatures are cute. Every species in the Concord Alliance had their monsters. To the Dominion, it was the bone leeches. To the Ilvari, it was the sand serpents. But there was one predator feared universally across sectors, the razor-clawed Veylan. The Veylan was a nightmare on 6 legs. 2.5 meters tall, with 4 hooked forelimbs that could tear through armored plating and a jaw capable of shearing titanium beams. Its spines dripped paralytic venom, and its scream, a high-pitched, bone-sawing wail, could drive prey into panic before the first strike. Civilizations told stories of Veylan hunts the way ancient humans once told stories about dragons. Entire platoons had been massacred by a single beast. Colonies had been evacuated after one moved into the outskirts. The Veylan was not a myth. It was a warning. So when the galaxy watched a human call one cute, they nearly lost their minds. The first encounter. The joint cadet exercise on Jora 5 was supposed to be a controlled test. Mixed species squads dropped into hostile terrain, tasked with building shelters, finding food, and surviving for 10 days. The instructors hadn't expected a Veylan. When its scream shattered the night, even the most disciplined cadets panicked. The Ilvari scout dropped his scanner. The Dominion trainees shrieked and scrambled into firing positions. The monster emerged from the underbrush, plates glistening in the firelight, claws clicking against stone. Veylan, someone screamed. Form ranks. Plasma rifles came up, hands shaking. But Private Sarah Monroe, human, 20 years old, freshly out of Earth's academy, didn't fire. She blinked at the towering beast, tilted her head, and said, "Oh, look at you." The cadets stared at her like she'd lost her mind. The Veylan shrieked, a sound that froze blood. Sarah crouched down, resting her rifle on the ground. "You're just a big, spiky kitty, aren't you?" she cooed. Private Monroe, her Dominion sergeant, howled. "You will be shredded." Instead, the Veylan tilted its head, curious. It sniffed, stalking forward with claws gleaming. The aliens braced for carnage. But the monster stopped inches from Sarah's outstretched hand. She touched its plated snout. It purred. Purred. The aliens nearly fainted. Viral outrage. The squad's feeds recorded everything. Within hours, the footage spread across the Concord. Billions watched a human recruit stroke the head of a creature that had slaughtered armies. They watched the Veylan lean into her touch like a house cat. Outrage exploded. "This must be fabricated," snapped Dr. Krevlos, Dominion xenobiologist. "Veylans are apex hunters. They cannot bond." But more footage kept coming. Sarah fed the beast ration bars. It followed her through the jungle, snarling at anything that approached. At night, it curled near the human tents, rumbling softly. Alien cultures reeled. Entire generations had been taught that the Veylan was death incarnate. To humans, it was a pet. Scientific chaos. The Concord Xenobiology Council held emergency hearings. "Clearly this is a unique aberration," one argued. "Impossible, Veylans are incapable of social bonds," another protested. The human delegation shrugged. "Seems like they just like us." Explanations flooded the networks. Perhaps humans emitted pheromones similar to Veylan juveniles. Perhaps humans didn't display prey behavior, confusing the predators. Or perhaps, most unsettling of all, humans and Veylans shared some deep, predatory instinct, one monster recognizing another. Meanwhile, humans flooded social media with jokes. "Who's a good murder kitty?" "Emotional support deathclaw." "New pet adoption program when?" Plush toys of baby Veylans sold out across Earth's colonies in hours. Trial by fire. Skeptics insisted the bond was fragile, that the beast would eventually turn. They were proven wrong when disaster struck. Halfway through the exercise, a Jora Titan, an armored reptilian colossus, ambushed the cadets' camp. Its tail smashed trees, its jaws big enough to swallow 2 cadets whole. Plasma fire barely scorched its scales. The squad braced for death. Then the Veylan moved. With an ear-splitting shriek, it hurled itself at the Titan, claws flashing, venom spraying. It fought with savage precision, tearing into the monster's joints. Sarah stood firm, shouting encouragement, "Get him, Spike." The cadets watched in awe as the galaxy's deadliest predator fought to protect a fragile human. The Titan eventually collapsed, gutted, blood pooling into the soil. The Veylan staggered back, covered in wounds, and lowered itself at Sarah's feet. She dropped to her knees, cradling its head. "Good boy," she whispered, tears streaking her face. The beast purred. The aftermath. The rescue shuttles arrived 2 days later. They expected carnage. Instead, they found cadets safe and alive, guarded by a Veylan lounging protectively around the camp. Command tried to separate it from Sarah. The beast snarled, claws carving furrows into the landing pad until she laid her hand on its snout and said softly, "It's okay. I'll stay." The beast relented on the condition she walked with it. The image of a human recruit boarding a shuttle with the galaxy's most feared predator at her side burned itself into history. Cultural fallout. The galaxy split down the middle. To the Concord powers, this was terrifying. If humans could befriend apex predators, what else could they bend? How many nightmare beasts would become humanity's cute pets? But to the common people, especially humans, it was irresistible. Memes exploded. Merchandise sold out. Alien biologists despaired as human children begged their parents for a pet Veylan. Military leaders argued over weaponization. Could humans deploy Veylans as war beasts? Could they control more than one? Was this an accident or a terrifying new precedent? And through it all, Sarah and her Veylan, now officially nicknamed Spike, remained inseparable. Epilogue. Months later, Sarah stood on the observation deck of a Concord station. Spike curled beside her, armored hide gleaming, claws tucked away. Passing aliens gave them wide berth, their fear barely contained. A reporter gathered the courage to ask, "Private Monroe, do you not fear it will one day turn on you?" Sarah smiled, scratching the beast's plated jaw. It purred loud enough to rattle the deck. "No," she said. "Because when I look in his eyes, I don't see a monster. I see a friend." The galaxy would never see Veylans the same way again. For the first time in history, the monsters weren't just monsters. They were cute.